boys, Roush's Hunting Wild, back online. I'm heading over to a piece of public land not far from the house. It's not too far from where I killed my turkey the other day. I ain't never been on it. It looks like access is fairly easy on some of it, so I'm just going to kind of go take a look and scout it out for possibly deer season, or maybe even if I can talk Jen into buying a turkey tag, maybe I'll find a turkey or two over here. So you guys stay with me here and we'll go take a look together, maybe learn something. I got the camera equipment with me, so I'm going to get multiple angles of the whole day.
With an easy application process and an exclusive member loyalty discounts, Financial Plus Credit Union makes your auto purchase affordable and easy. Visit Myapp today. FPCU is an equal.
Be right back. All right, so I made it over here. I'm probably a half mile or so. I've been following this drainage ditch, and there's a hunter's, or human trail that kind of parallels it, and it's getting down to where there ain't much traffic on there, But if you look around, this is all immature trees, small brush. There's no opportunity in here, for as far as I can see, for a tree stand. That excites me. Because yeah, I'm getting probably traffic along this ditch. Up on this ditch bank, people are traveling this, but they're not going out into any of that with a bow and arrow. If they are, they're not going much more than 50 yards. The lazy hunter ain't gonna go into that, because especially early season, when all the foliage is on, you're not gonna get into that quietly unless you're very patient and take your time. Now what I've got here is I've got a pretty good crossing that crosses the ditch. There's a lot of tracks. It's hard to really decipher if there's any big ones in it, but it's the first real decent sign that I've seen. So, kind of getting excited here. More excited that there's not much opportunity for a tree stand hunter in here. At least out in the middle of this. I'm gonna go try to find some transition and some hard edge maybe, and then start looking for buck sign. I'll be back. Alright dudes, I'm back here quite a ways now, and I'm running into some pretty good stuff. I found a pretty good sized bed. It looked like it probably hasn't been used since deer season, so it may not be a live buck anymore, but take a look at this stuff. There are cow paths just riddled, going out, going out, going out, coming through here. There's a cow path going that direction, and I mean it's just turned up. It's almost like there's a million deer going through here. And I think probably what's happening right over, see that bush right there, the bigger tree, that there's about a 30-foot circle right there where it's open, and that shrub is in the dead center of it. The bed is right on the side of that. You can definitely tell there's an imprint there. It looks like a buck or a deer in general bedded there. And it is a big bed, but it's not fresh, and it don't look like it's been used probably since at least the snow melted anyway. But yeah, I'm running into some pretty good stuff, and what I have a feeling is happening is right there. I'm probably 300 yards from the mature forest that's out there, and I think what's happening is the deer come out of that forest at night or in the morning, coming in here bedding, and then in the evening heading back out to go get acorns or whatever. There's not really any agriculture fields out that way. There is, heading the opposite direction back that way across that ditch that I was following, and then probably another 3/4 of a mile past that there's some ag over that way. So I don't think these deer in general, I just come out into another opening here that I think would be fantastic catching these deer coming out in the evening. I just don't know how I would get in here. I would probably have to come in not following that ditch up. I'd probably have to go walk down the road from the parking lot and come in on the edge of the timber line there, and come in to hunt these deer coming out of their bed in the evening. Here's a path crisscrossing through this opening. Heads right on, I can see, heading right through there. I've run into a few rubs, nothing big yet, and maybe I won't run into anything big, but anyway, I'm starting to find some stuff and just see what we accomplish here. Stay with me. Okay, next update. So I'm a long ways from the truck. I don't know exactly how far, but I come up through all them trails and stuff, and then I looked on the map, and on the far side of all that thick, dense cover, there is some mature forest over here that I wanted to take a look at. Not necessarily to hunt, but just to see if it was an attractant for the deer to go to for food. And sure enough, I found some oak trees out over here, actually a bunch of oak trees. And there's a lot of trails leading into this spot right here. But I was just coming up through here to get to it, not really paying attention. And here, I come up through all this brush because it's so thick in here. Just someplace that a deer would never just come through voluntarily. And I looked down, stopped here, and there's just this little rub on this tree. And I thought, well, why would a deer come up in here to make that rub and then have to go all the way back out to get to a trail? Well, then I looked over, and not even 3 foot from the rub, there's where he lived. We are right smack dab that creek. There's another drainage ditch right here, and that's where the transition into the oaks is. So I'm pretty sure, from what I gathered from the road, this ditch goes out to the road that I'm parked on. I'm parked way over this way, but this drainage goes out to the road, and I'm pretty sure people are accessing, walking from the parking lot down the road a half mile or whatever, or something, and coming up this ditch bank on the other side. And so what I gathered is this buck on a west wind coming over his back, and he's watching this access. So if he has something coming from behind him, he's got the wind covering him, and he'll smell them and be able to exit out here. Or if somebody's accessing from there, he can see them, and escape. It's a pretty good spot. If that buck made it to a 2-year-old, because it's not a real big bed, It's probably a 1.5 year old buck, judging by the rub here and that, but he picked him a pretty good spot. And I'll definitely be back in this spot looking to see if he's still alive, because 2 years old buck, that's good enough for me. So my plan is now, it's looking too thick on this side. I'm just gonna jump this drainage ditch right here, get across it, maybe look out into them oaks a little bit just for a random sign. But I'm not looking for someplace to hunt there. I just want to get down the drainage ditch even farther from the truck, and just around, I don't know, it's probably another 300 yards, 4 maybe. I can cut back across this ditch, and it looks like there's a point of this brush comes out, and it's got open, a little bit open like CRP on both sides of it. So I'm gonna go over there and check that out. I'm imagining that point is gonna have some bedding in it. Doe, buck, I don't know yet. That's just my next angle. So far, haven't really seen much big buck sign. Nothing to get excited about. So, but it does look like a big buck could live in here easy enough. And I've only walked 1/10 of this place, or probably not even that. So I'll be back with you. All right, so I'm across the ditch. It is right down here. I filled up the memory card on my camera, which is convenient. But anyway, I was just kind of following along here, the oak flat right behind me. And I found a couple rubs, albeit they're small. I mean, that don't look like a big buck, but there's a little bit of a rub on that tree, that one. And it leads down in, and they kind of just walk just the edge of that water. And then there's another rub. Oh, where'd it go? Right there. You can just see it right on the tip of my finger. And then they're still going along it there. And right there, there's 2 spots where it's real heavy crossing going in. There's deer, bucks probably bedding just in there within 50 yards of this creek. Stay with me. Alright guys, so that oak flat is over there. I'm probably 250 yards from it. And what there is, turn the camera around, there's an opening out here that kind of leads over towards that oak flat. And just on the other side of this, there's an opening that kind of circles out into that. And this brush stuff that I'm in right now comes out to a point right here. And I have read that these points can be good, and I didn't have to make it in very far. There's a pretty good rub right there. That's the first one I seen. And right here, now it don't look, people say, oh, that's probably a 1.5 year old buck. I don't think so. The size of that tree doesn't matter. It's how high up the rub is. And that rub right there is up above my knee, the bottom of it. And if you look right here, this is where he stood up from his bed, browsed a little bit, rub his antlers, lay back down. Just notice that it's all skinned up right there too. This was this buck's home. And it was a good spot. Fun stuff. Finally found something. pretty exciting. This is a rub on south entry from that buck bed. There's a rub right there. Up in that, like he just stands in here and browses. All this stuff's been browsed on in here. Like he's just all up in, all around this like little bit bigger hedge tree or whatever it is. And judging by this is the biggest rub outside of that central zone. This is the biggest rub on exit heading south. So maybe he's coming to and from more in this direction, but there was a good heavy trail leaving this bed heading to the north too. So I think it's probably just wind based. He probably gets up out of his bed and puts his nose in the wind and, you know, does his thing. But it's pretty cool in here. I think I'm thinking there's probably been more than one buck bedding in here, because right there's a pretty good bed. It's pretty awesome.